Twitter and YouTube. Make it plain. We are live. We got you got us on Facebook, right? Check us out. He is the uh, associate chair and counselor to the Democratic Party, and we all really got to know him when he was chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party. Now he's again the associate chair and counsel of the National Democratic Party. Jaime Harrison joins us now. Jaime, good morning, man. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good to hear your voice, man. Let me ask you something. Are you still residing in South Carolina?
Still live in South Kakalaki, man. Right here in Columbia.
Isn't that a conflict of interest now to be the national associate chair? Don't you need to move out from South Carolina? Why you want to stay there?
Well, well, it's good to be in South Carolina, man. Because if we can win in South Carolina, then
I,
Democrats are in good shape.
I know. I'm just messing with you, brother. I know about folks from South Carolina. That's like the one stop from heaven. Uh, I'm just messing with you. You don't leave South Carolina if you're there. Well, first of all, we haven't spoken since you've become associate chair, so congratulations on that. But the thing we really want
Thank
to
you.
talk about today, and what I was saying, there's this kind of a cool meme going around that the sequel to Black Panther 2, will premiere in a voting booth near you this November.
Yes.
Tom Perez and I were playing with that last week when he was on, so we need to push that. But um, he and I've talked about it. We've talked about it before, but is really is a launch in earnest now. The whole IWillVote.com campaign, right?
Exactly right. Yesterday was the official launch of it. It is our attempt to make sure that we reach and talk to 50 million Americans and to get them out to the polls this November. It's so important that we do so.
Yeah, no, it is. And how will this process make that happen? Tell us exactly the strategy behind IWillVote.com, Jamie.
Yeah. Well, it's a comprehensive approach. We have four initiatives. The wrap on the Democratic Party, and this is something I've said. We can't just go out and knock on people's doors 2, 3, 4 days before election, or go to the churches, 2 or 3 weeks before the election, and then expect people to turn out. We got to start much earlier. So there are four initiatives in the I Will Vote comprehensive plan. It is the commit to vote process, focusing on voter registration, on voter education, and protecting voters' rights, and then last but not least, then focus on get out the vote. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a really important component. And so what we're going to be doing, the Democratic National Committee, will be working with all of our other sister Democratic organizations, and then a lot of these progressive grassroots organizations that have popped up, and those that are traditional, to make sure that people, first of all, make a commitment that they're going to vote this November, that they have everything they need to do, voter registration, that we educate them not only on the issues, but also introduce them and connect them with the candidates that we've been recruiting and talking to that are going to run, that we protect their right to vote, to make sure that the Republicans don't purge them from voter rolls, that they have sufficient IDs, and then we'll focus on the last push, which is to get people, get the butts to the polls
Every
and,
soul to the
and
polls.
make sure that people are there.
Yeah. No, this is critical. You have to be encouraged, as I am, by the 39 state legislative seats we've
Yes.
already flipped, and these in red districts.
Red. You're
And,
exactly right.
and people like you and me, and I guess even some of our listeners. I mean, we sleep and drink politics, so we can kind of be in our own fishbowl. What this says is that there are people in these districts who are really fed up with what we're seeing on television, what I unfortunately have to report on every day that's coming out of the White House. I mean, this it's almost seems, and I know we're doing groundwork in GOTV in these legislative areas, um, but normally the focus is more so on the national races. So it just seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong, some of this flipping is really organic itself, Jaime.
Yes. Yeah. It really is. People are just fed up. They're fed up with all the things that's going on in their state legislatures. They're fed up with these bad governors who are standing in the doorways of progress. Won't allow health care and the Affordable Care Act, won't fix the roads, but they're happy to give a tax cut to their millionaire and billionaire friends.
Mm-hmm.
But you got rural hospitals across the country that are closing up because the Affordable Care Act has been blocked. People are they're tired, and they're tired of being tired. And so they're going into these districts. You're getting Republicans, you're getting independents, and then Democrats who are surging to the polls. And they're flipping these districts that Donald Trump won by 15, 20 points. Democrats are actually pulling them out. And that just says, Republicans should be very scared. Even some of their Republicans have been saying this. Scott Walker out in Wisconsin has basically decided not to call any special elections because he's scared that the Democrats are going to pick up seats. That just goes to show you right now that they're very, very desperate, but we have to keep moving and pushing and making sure our folks are educated and mobilized so that we can really see the change this November.
Yeah, no, you're right. And also in terms of these state legislatures, I mean, at this hour, honestly, Jaime, they are as important as the national races because that's going to impact.
Probably more so.
Yeah, because that's because of redistricting, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I was the executive director of the House Democrats in 2006, and so that's when we took over. We took the majority in the House and the Senate. And then and that sort of laid the foundation for President Barack Obama in 2008.
Yeah.
And at the time that Barack Obama put his hand on that Bible, Democrats had the majority in the House, the Senate. We had control of the White House. We had the majority of governorships and control of state legislatures. But shortly after that, we took our eye off the ball. We sort of got drunk off of this notion that we had a black man in the White House and, Democrats control Congress, and we didn't cover our politics.
Mm-hmm.
And so we didn't invest in the state parties, and we didn't invest in state legislatures. And the Republicans snuck in 2010, took over state legislatures, and then were able to redraw all these districts to make it harder for Democrats to win.
Yeah.
We can't allow that to happen again. And the 2020, these races are important for the 2020 redistricting and reapportionment that takes place.
Right. And this is important too, this process. Jaime Harrison was associate chair of the Democratic Party, because let's face it, we go to one or two extremes. Either we can be, especially during the midterms, our base can either be too apathetic or too overconfident, like we were in 2016. Oh, she's gonna win.
Yeah.
Yep. And so this, folks, gets you on the dotted line. We cannot play 4 pillars. Commit, number 1, commit to vote. 2, register to vote. Number 3, protect. Number 3, protect the vote. And number 4, get out the vote, or as some like to call it, Wakanda the vote, right?
Exactly right.
No, this is what we have to do, folks, and this is a very, very critical moment. Even have a video from some members of Congress, including John Lewis. I just want to take a minute and let our audience hear this, if you don't mind, Jaime.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Here's some of our folks.
In your doctor's office.
Wait a minute, I got more than one thing running again. All these auto plays. That's the only thing about computers and stuff, man. Anyway, I'll figure this out in a minute. But the point is, you all can actually see it. It's on our stream, even if you can't hear it right now. And you can see for yourself exactly, what some of the Democratic Party leadership is saying and why it's important, actually, that the people get out to vote. In fact, I think I might have it now. Let me try this again. Here we go. We got it.
Does my vote really matter?
Oh my God, yes, your vote matters.
Claro que sí, of course your vote matters.
Heck yeah, your vote matters.
Yes, your vote matters.
Your vote matters because it is power.
In order to ensure America's government reflects our values,
Each and every one of us must play a role in shaping it.
It's easy to look around the world and assume, it just can't be changed, that things are just the way they are.
But guess what? You have the power to make a difference with your voice and, most importantly, with your vote.
Think about how much we have at stake.
sure, anyone can choose to sit on the sidelines.
Or we can join together and fight for a future that works for all of us.
Your vote is your future.
So I'm going to commit to vote, and I hope you will too.
Go to iwillvote.com and commit to vote in 2018 and beyond.
Then tag your friends and share this video to make sure they vote too.
Democracy is not a spectator sport. Get off the sidelines and get in the game.
Yes, indeed. Your vote matters.
Let's go vote.
And of course, our guest Jaime Harrison makes his.
My big round head's on there too.
Yeah, you and as he too is auditioning for the sequel to Black Panther, y'all. So this is critical, folks. So Jaime, walk everybody through the steps. What happens when they go to the website iwillvote.com?
Basically, they go and it's almost like filling out a commitment card, and that information then is sent to our state parties or wherever you are, and the state parties will then work with you on eventually coming up with a vote plan. Making sure that you're registered, that you understand all of the voting laws in your area. So if there's a voter ID legislation, whatever, making sure that you are aware of all the things that you need in order to exercise your right. And then finally, we will be pushing folks and sending information to make sure that they get out to vote. And this is probably the most comprehensive approach that we have taken as a party in a long time of making sure from A to Z, voters understand their rights, they understand where they need to go, and they understand who we're asking them to support. And hopefully then we get them to the polls so that they can cast their ballots and make sure that their voices are heard.
One of Jaime Harrison with us, folks, 21 minutes past the hour. One of the things that Tom and I also talked about last week, brother, is if we were to get wonky, so to speak, and look at past polls and numbers, raising the issue of gun control doesn't always help us. In fact, historically, it's kind of mobilized our opponents more so.
Yeah.
And that wonk wisdom or that polling wisdom would say, don't make too much noise about guns, because that's just going to awaken their base. But because we did that, remember, there was the mass shooting before Roy Moore's election. And I just made a decision. We're not going to talk about that till Wednesday, right? After Tuesday, because we didn't want to mobilize the gun nuts in Alabama. But I think even this is changing, man. Just like this organic state legislature flipping this going on. I think that this whole, because of what happened in Parkland and the way these young people responded, Jaime, I think the trends that we've seen historically, where they react more than we do, I think that might be about ready for a sea change too, brother.
I agree. Listen, man, I've been seeing this. I sent out this tweet in December, and I resent it out shortly after Parkland. And I said, Republicans are going to have to be very careful because they are on the verge of waking up a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
And the sleeping giant are these young people in this country. There've been a series of things that the Republicans have done and sort of standing in the way recently, from the net neutrality issues to now, really trying to stand in the way of not allowing true gun reform. And people are already talking about taking away anybody's guns, but we're talking about making sure there's sufficient background checks so that those who have mental illnesses or those who don't have the ability to have a gun, making sure that they don't. But at the same time, listen, if the step comes that certain types of assault weapons don't need to be on the streets. I mean, it's not that we are all in the military and we're all going to war. I read this article, and I think it was in the Atlantic. It was by one of the doctors who was called in for the Parkland shooting, and he was talking about, he's seen gun wounds before, but what the AR-15 does to the body, the description that he was giving it just sent shivers down my spine. And we just need to stand back as Americans and think about this. Is this something that we want everyday American citizens to have and possess, particularly those who don't have the ability to or the mental capacity or the emotional capacity to handle that type of power? I think there's a lot of soul searching that needs to happen, and it's young people who are leading us in that effort to really look in the mirror and say, who are we and what do we want to be?
Yeah, and it's high time that happened between the gun issue and, of course, all of the ongoing stories. I mean, yesterday was really an avalanche of controversy.
Oh, God. It's hard to keep up with.
Yeah,
I mean, from Jared Kushner, $500 million in loans. He met with the people in the White House, and then there's $500 million of loans that went to companies related to his family. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And had any of this stuff happened in the Obama White House, man, they would have tarred and feathered that poor guy.
I know, they wanted to impeach him because he wore a tan suit. It's really. And just the juvenile nature, man. Shoot, you and I never been in the White House, Jamie, but we know we can't have folk up in there that can't pass clearance. I mean, why would you ram that down anybody's? I'm just gonna put it anywhere I want to. We're gonna put we're gonna put my posse up in here, even though they can't pass clearance. That's crazy.
It's crazy, and not only that, he's given access to these people to the presidential daily briefing.
Right.
And I don't know if most of your folks know what that is. That is the nation's top secret that the president and the select few get every morning about the state of the world.
Right.
From where we have bugs in certain people's offices over in Russia or China to, who our operatives are. All of those things and facts are there. And here you got this guy that 4 countries have all come out and said, well, we need to target him because we think he's a weak link.
Yeah.
And he has access to that briefing. and doesn't have the clearance.
Yeah.
That is crazy. But it's about Hillary's emails, right? That's the national security. Oh, come on, people.
Yeah.
Everybody should be up in arms, and should be up in arms that also in the same week they said that 7 states were impacted by Russians getting into their election system. 7 states. Big ones: Florida, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois. We should all be up in arms marching on the White House right now because this is unprecedented, the amount of stuff and corruption that we're seeing out of this White House.
Well, as I've been saying, if nothing comes of this investigation, and I don't know how it couldn't, but if nothing comes of it, I think we all need to, brother, I want you to join me and Yorba Linda to go hold a prayer vigil at Nixon's grave and issue a national apology, because what he did was nothing. It was a paper cut.
I'm there with you, man. I'm there with you.
Compared to this. Jaime Harrison with us, folks. Jaime, give our audience final instruction on what they need to do today. I will vote. And let me just mention, folks, I'm leaving, headed straight to the airport. Annual Jubilee in Selma. A lot of us will be there. The only civil rights event that is commemorated every year. And that was where blood was shed for us to have this right to vote. So this is sacred.
Yeah.
Jaime, please give final instruction on what you want people to do today.
We need folks to go to iwillvote.com. It is so important. You need to go, your mama, your daddy, your brothers, sisters, cousins. Make sure everybody in your family goes to iwillvote.com, put your information into the system, and be a part of this national movement to change this country.
Yeah.
We know how bad things are. My grandma always said that sometimes things got to get really bad before we understand and appreciate the good.
Right.
The Lord knows it's bad.
Yeah.
And so let's change this. Let's change this for our kids. Let's change this for the future of this country. But it all starts with that one vote.
Yeah.
And it starts with you making sure that you understand all the things that you need to do. So go to iwillvote.com to start that process.
Indeed. Jaime, good to talk to you, my brother.
Thank you, brother.
As always.
Safe
and
travels to you.
Yes, and let's stay in close touch, man. You know, we're here. We're going to keep beating this drum. All right, man?
Yeah, man. And anytime you want, man, I'm on.
Bet, doctor. Thank you. Wakanda forever, brother.
Thank you, brother.
All right.
Wakanda forever.
All right. Take care now. Jaime Harrison, Associate Chair and Counsel for the Democratic Party. Folks, we'll take a break. Inviting your calls to talk about all this controversy over the past 24 hours, the headlines regarding Trump and his family, and Hope Hicks and what have you, and how Mueller is creeping up. Also, we're going to talk about a new show, which is another sort of a spinoff. We've had a number of shows spin off from Make It Plain. Kind of like the Cosby Show. All those shows spun off. Well, maybe I shouldn't say it's like the Cosby Show. But you know what I mean. Daily Coast Radio, Media Matters Radio. And now another show is spinning off from Make It Plain. Probably one or two more, but, I don't know if anybody wants to acknowledge that. But at least those two. Because, honestly, we've tried to use Make It Plain to encourage and incubate other up-and-coming shows and talent. And we're going to hear about one. You'll be very happy to hear this news. Someone we all know and love is getting his own show on SiriusXM Progress. So you will not want to miss this next conversation we're about to have. SiriusXM Progress 127. Get woke, get ready for impeachment. We'll be right back. This is MIP.
The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live.